Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Heidi St. John podcast. We're coming up on the 250th anniversary of the country, and what better time to talk about the future and how we get from communism and fight fascism back to, hey, we love America, and can we have some decent Coca-Cola commercials that we can all just sing along together? Today, I'm going to be joined by one of the most influential voices in America. He's a broadcaster, an entrepreneur, and he's really been challenging Americans for a long time to think deeply about things that are happening in this country and to seek truth and encourage courage in the next generation. Glenn Beck's going to be joining me a little bit later on in the podcast. I think you guys are going to love that conversation. This is the Heidi St. John podcast. Stick around. I think you're going to be encouraged. Well, I'm glad you guys are here. Thank you for joining me. In just a few minutes, I'm going to bring my friend Glenn Beck onto the show. But I want to start out by just talking about something that I've been talking about for literally decades now, and that is the condition of education in this country. You guys have heard me give you the history of education. I've talked about Orestes Brownson and Robert Owen, these Welsh utopians who decided that they would create New Harmony, Robert Owen, New Harmony, Indiana, and create this little utopian socialist community, which of course was an abject failure, like every socialist communist culture that's ever been created. But these guys were the ones who really paved the way in this country to bring about socialism into our education system. And now here we are today. I asserted to my guest today that the education system in our country is a 5-alarm fire, and I'm going to say it to you again today. Get your children out of public school. Get them out of public school. I don't care if you're in a red state. I don't care if you're in a blue state. I don't care if you're in a school where you think everybody's a Christian. If you go to the National Educators website, you will see what the agenda is of your local public school. And there are wonderful teachers in the public school. Wonderful teachers. In fact, I know a lot of really good teachers, but those wonderful teachers are being outnumbered and outflanked by far and away with teachers who are not there to teach. They're there as activists. I call them activists disguised as teachers. You see this in our grade schools. You see this in our high schools. It's absolutely in our universities. And I think on the, as we approach the 250th anniversary of our country, we need to start thinking about where we're going to be 50 years from now. And I would assert that unless we do something about education as it is right now in the United States, we won't have a country in another 50, 60, 70 years because we'll simply be outnumbered. Every single June in this country, we are cranking out of our schools 18-year-olds into the voting pool who hate the country. They couldn't tell you what's in the First Amendment. They couldn't tell you the Constitution. They've been taught revisionist history of this country. They've been taught things like the 1619 Project, and they believe that America is an inherent force for evil, not for good. But our founding fathers were some of the most brilliant people on the face of the earth, and their literal documents would tell you otherwise if we would just teach our children about the founding of this country. And so I think as we move into this time of celebration, I remember the bicentennial of the United States in 1776. And Glenn and I are going to talk about it just a little bit today because we have a little bit of shared history with the Beck family. A lot of you know that Glenn's family spent many years in Mount Vernon, Washington, where my husband is from. And so they've got a little bit of shared history, which we're going to talk about on the show today. But it's an important reminder, Mom and Dad, that you and your attitude about this country and what you think is important is literally shaping what your kids are going to think about the country. And I know you guys have heard me say this before, but I think it's just worth repeating. I have so much hope for the United States. If the rising generation, if Generation Alpha, if the millennials will engage, Glenn thinks that, if they're above 30 years old, we've likely lost them. And maybe that's true. I mean, certainly it's true. If you're 40 years old, we've absolutely lost you. If you haven't figured out by now that America is not a fascist place and that we don't have to have no kings rallies, because guys, guess what? We don't have a king. And it's really funny coming from, people like in the state of Oregon right now. Did you guys know that in the state of Oregon, where they just had another massive No Kings protest with their tubas and their just retarded, slogans and their signs that they carry through Laurelhurst Park? They look like a bunch of clowns. I'm not even joking. And these guys are like, no kings, walking on stilts. It's like a literal circus going through Laurelhurst, Oregon. This is the same state now that says we don't want a king, but also you're going to have to get a permit if you want to go paddleboarding. That's happening. These are not the sharpest knives in the drawer. And yet we're listening to them. Our children are listening to them on matters of policy because a lot of these people are teaching in our public schools. Okay. A lot of these people are teaching in our public schools. And it takes a fair amount of propaganda, as you guys have seen now, because we're halfway through the month of June. And the propaganda, of course, is everywhere. I'm not even going to get into the HelloFresh story. Just Google it. If you're buying anything from HelloFresh, this is your memo to stop buying things from HelloFresh and instead go to MyFreedomCart, MyFreedomCart.com, which, by the way, I'm going to be talking to you guys a little bit more about if some of you guys are looking for a side hustle and you've never done affiliate marketing. I've been doing it for years and years and years. Amazon is a massive producer of affiliate marketing. Discover Card does affiliate marketing. Costco does affiliate marketing. And I know a lot of you right now looking for a side hustle. So mama, if you're a stay-at-home mom and you're looking for a side hustle, I'm going to be talking about that in the next couple of weeks and just inviting you guys, listen, start promoting things that you love and get a little bit of commission off of it. It's just a great idea. It's a great idea. And no one ever says you shouldn't do that when you put an affiliate link out for Amazon. And that's exactly what affiliate marketing is all about. I think you guys will love My Freedom Cart. Every kind of thing you can possibly imagine. Over 500 products in that store. All made in America. Great stuff, you guys. Stop buying your stuff from communist countries that hate you. And for goodness sake, stop buying your stuff from HelloFresh. I was literally flabbergasted when I saw their ad. I didn't even talk about it on Instagram because it's so vile. I didn't even want to repost it. But I'm really sick and tired of spending my money with companies that hate me. And when we do that, when we vote with our dollars, because that's what we're doing when we're supporting places like this, if you go down into the streets of downtown Portland right now, it's kind of shocking. It's shocking to see the LGBTQIA '+- community promoting things that are absolutely disgusting, and they're doing it for children. I just drove home the other day past Union High School, and the reader board in front of Union High School says, we're celebrating Pride this month. Well, excellent. Excellent. Get your kids out of public school. It's hurting them. They're teaching revisionist history. They're teaching our kids to hate the country. They're teaching them they can be a narwhal whale on Friday if they want to be. They're teaching them that there's 400 genders. But yet we're failing in math, failing in reading, failing in almost every really important educational metric, and they hate the country. And so I think it's a 5-alarm fire. I think if we don't correct what is going wrong in our public school system, well, actually, let me take that back. You can't correct it. It's baked into the cake. You literally cannot change the education system. You just have to withdraw your children from it and find an alternative way to educate your children. Shocking, I know, but it can be done. And if we don't do it, it's simply a math problem at this point. We're going to be outnumbered by kids who have literally just been indoctrinated to hate the country and believe the things that they're spouting off to you over the dinner table. They believe this stuff because they've been taught it through curriculum, through beautifully illustrated lies in children's books that they're read over story time by drag queens. Do you guys know that OMSI right now, the Oregon Museum of Science and Industry? I'm just going to put, I hope OMSI, I hope you're listening. The Oregon Museum of Science and Industry, which I just bought my grandchildren, all of my grandchildren, memberships for, well, at least the ones that live in this area, memberships for the entire 2026 season. They're literally opening their museum up to celebrate Pride Month and having a dude dressed like a clownish woman, goes by the name of Poisoned Waters, coming in. Boy, that's never more appropriate name than that. So OMSI's inviting Poisoned Waters into read disgusting books to children to celebrate what God says ultimately leads to death. Yeah, guess what, Amzi? I'm never buying another membership from you again. Ever. What does drag queen story hour and homosexual sex have to do with the Oregon Museum of Science and Industry? Oh, I know. They're a reflection of what's happening in our publicly funded education system. That's exactly what's happening. So I will never buy another membership for my grandkids for Christmas there again. And it was kind of expensive. And I'm never doing that again. We get to vote with our dollars. Look what's happening to your children. It matters. Jesus, in talking to the Pharisees, remember, said, when a student's fully trained, he's going to be like his teacher. Jesus also said to the Pharisees, here's your problem, guys. You don't know the scriptures and you don't know the power of God because you don't know the scriptures. So maybe that should be our focus as we head into the 250th anniversary of our country, is to know the scriptures and to teach our children what God says in his word, because every answer to every question that we are asking in the culture right now, where do we come from? Where are we going? What is our design for male and female ultimately about? Well, the Bible says that our lives have been given to us to give glory to God. We have one purpose as image bearers of God. We are made in the imago Dei, in the image of God. And we have one purpose, and that is to bring glory to God. We're called to bring glory to God. And we can do that in the way we raise our children. We can do that in the books that we read, in the movies that we watch, in the people that we allow to influence the rising generation. We can bring glory to God. And one of the ways we do it is by making sure that our children are not being educated as fools and kids who hate God and hate the country. And I'm sorry, but that's what the public schools are absolutely designed to do. People get mad at me when I say it. They're like, Heidi, there are good teachers. Listen, I never said that there weren't good teachers in the schools. That's not what this is about. But I do believe, and Glenn and I are going to talk about it today, I do believe that at this point, if you're still in that system and you're propping it up and if you're a teacher in that system and you're not railing against what they're teaching our kids, then you're just part of the problem at this point. The education system in this country is a 5-alarm fire. We need to start teaching our children to love the country and teaching them the actual real history of our nation. And that brings me to my guest today. I'm really, really excited. This is a treat for me. I've been wanting to have this conversation for quite some time, and I'm really glad that it's finally happening. Glenn Beck has spent decades helping Americans understand the issues that are shaping our nation while encouraging them to stand for truth and freedom. I'm excited to welcome Glenn to the Heidi St. John podcast today. Well, you guys know that we have been living with Jay's beautiful mother now for about 18 years. And recently we've been trying to navigate the Medicare world. And my husband and I are learning a lot about Medicare, and we're kind of at the jumping off place. My husband's approaching 60 now. I'm in my mid to late 50s. And we're looking at this with entirely different eyes right now, because what we're learning is that when we go to Medicare, we could only be shown a fraction of our options, and you don't even know it. Here's the thing. A lot of people, and I would put myself and my husband in this category, choose Medicare based on what a broker showed them or what a friend is on. And that's not their fault. The system isn't built to show you all of it. But what it does mean is that you could easily end up on a plan that doesn't cover your doctors or your prescriptions the way you need them to. And that's why I want you guys to know about Chapter. Chapter is the only Medicare advisor that looks at every plan available nationwide to find out what actually fits your life. So your doctors, your prescriptions, your priorities. Their advisors are honest. They're not paid to steer you into any certain plan. Their one job is to find out what's right for you. If you're already on the best plan, they're going to tell you. And if you're not, they're going to help you switch. Just last year, people who switched with Chapter saved an average of $1,100 on healthcare costs. And one call with Chapter is free. It takes less than 20 minutes. The Lord has tasked us with making good decisions for our aging parents and for ourselves. And Chapter makes this one pretty easy. So if you're turning 65 or if you're helping somebody who is already on Medicare, go to askchapter.org/real help. All right, joining me today is Glenn Beck. He needs no further introduction. Glenn, it's great to see you. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Heidi. Thank you. So good to be with you.
Well, we're touching base at a pretty critical time for the nation right now, right? We've got a peace deal being brokered with Iran, and the country is coming up on its 250th anniversary. You and I are both super fans of the United States,
Yeah.
and we're in trouble.
We're in trouble. The thing is we have lost our storyline.
Yeah.
And, that's how humans relate to each other. That's how countries are formed. You have to have a storyline. And we've lost it. And if we don't teach that to our kids, it is over. It is over. The good news is Generation Alpha is the strongest generation that we've seen in multiple generations. It is very likely they are the greatest American generation again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's the same story. When the greatest American generation happened, they grew up, in the 20s and the 30s, and they were the
struggle.
ones that,
they grew up with struggle.
But they also the adults were saying the same thing that the adults say about this generation. They don't know how to work. The refrigeration and the car has made them lazy, and they're soft, and they don't know anything. And they were the ones that stepped to the plate and defeated communism and fascism.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Generation Alpha is that generation.
Yeah, I agree. Last night we had a bunch of young adults over to our house. My son is a youth pastor, and so he kind of shepherds the young adults. And so these are all kids in their 20s. And I happened to go out and just watch them, toasting marshmallows over the fire. And one of them came up to me and said, I want to talk to you about your run for Congress. And the entire group kind of turned around and started talking about politics. This is the first time, Glenn, that this has happened in such a long time. I told them I have so much hope for this country because of your generation.
I do too.
Yeah.
I do too.
Yeah,
I do
absolutely.
too. I think those who are 25 and younger are remarkable.
Yeah.
Just remarkable.
Yeah.
And, unfortunately, those over 30, I think we lost that generation.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we can ever get them back.
Yeah, I don't know either. All you got to do is go into the streets of Portland, Oregon or Seattle and a bunch of, watch the people who are on the side of the road protesting President Trump and trying to get the police defunded and get ICE out of our cities. It's pretty crazy.
It's crazy how crazy they have become. But, I saw, the fight, the UFC fight happened over the weekend, and I didn't know how to feel about it beforehand because I thought, if this is just cakes and circuses, I'm not for it.
Yeah.
But if this is a 250th anniversary, then it's appropriate. And it was. I don't know if you saw it, but it really was. It was very patriotic. It spent a lot of time, talking about our heroes and honoring our heroes and our moments, of greatness in America.
Yeah.
I thought it was really appropriate.
Yeah.
The counter programming that came from the left was awful.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, I played some of the cuts from it today. It was, it's Jane Fonda and Bette Midler singing, and they cannot sing anymore. And it was like Crazy Town.
Their ideas are as bad now as they've ever been. And they still have an audience. That's what's crazy to me.
I think that is, because it's all about, it's fascism, it's fascist. I don't think people want to hear that. Yeah. I think people are done being told who to hate.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I want to be for something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I want to be for America, which kind of brings me to the education system. I was just talking to you in the green room a second ago. I think our education system in this country is a 5-alarm fire.
It's over.
If we do not get a hold of the education system, if we can't start educating our kids to love America, teach them not revisionist history, but the real history, why they should be proud of America, why it is the greatest country on the face of the earth. But what we're doing is we're cranking out by the hundreds of thousands every June in this country into the voting pool kids who hate the country, who they're not excelling in reading, writing, and math, but they can tell you that there's 400 genders. And we've got to start educating our children again correctly, or it's just a numbers game. We're just going to be outnumbered.
I have to tell you, I'd get your kid out of school. I appreciate what you guys do. You got to get them out of school.
Yeah.
Especially in the Pacific Northwest, you've got to get them out of school.
Yeah.
until you break up this all-powerful teachers union. And I really have a lot of respect for teachers. I've always had a lot of respect. I'm losing my tolerance for that. If you see, if I'm paying money in and paying a fee and I see what that money is going towards and what that organization does, there comes a point where I have to say, you know what, guys, I can't be a part of this anymore.
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah.
And if more teachers would do that, we'd be in a much better situation, but they don't.
Yeah.
And so that makes you part of the problem.
Yeah,
because there's no excuse anymore. There's no excuse. You know what you're doing now.
Yeah, that's right. The National Educators Association website is just littered with anti-Trump propaganda, pro-transgenderism, pro-homosexual. It's really crazy. And it takes a lot to indoctrinate a 5-year-old to believe that he was born in the wrong body and now he should be a girl. And yet that's what the teachers unions are instructing the teachers to do. And to my way of thinking, and we've got teachers in our family, so I'm not here to disparage every teacher. I agree with you. Yeah. But to my way of thinking, these are mostly activists disguised as teachers.
Yes,
they're not there for the love of teaching. They're there because they hate the country and they have an agenda.
Correct. Absolutely correct.
Yeah.
And that's why, I don't know how much your audience knows about me, but I have a library that I started collecting. I've partnered with David Barton, and then I started a charity to help fund this. And then my personal finances have been connected to it. And so we have put together a library now that is the third largest in the world. We're only behind on founding documents. We're only behind the National Archives and the Library of Congress.
Incredible.
And so I can tell you, you can argue with me all you want, but when I'm talking to you about the founders, I'll show you the document.
Yep.
You can argue with the document all you want. I have the manifest of the ship that supposedly came in on the 1619 project. So I got the manifest. You say there's slaves on board?
Right.
Where? Because I got the manifest. You want to go over it with me? And so, there's a difference when you're teaching like that.
Yeah.
And so I have this amazing library and we're digitizing all of it. And we're creating a couple of things. First one that we've created was George AI, which is not available to the public yet, but it will be when we can make sure that it cannot be, cannot go awry.
Yeah, it cannot be hijacked.
Cannot be hijacked.
Yeah.
And so we're in beta testing with it like crazy right now. And it can only pull from the documents that we put in. And we don't put anything in it past, I think it's 1830, 1825 or 6. And it can only pull from what we put in. So it's not going out to the general. It's only coming in and looking through the documents.
Through the original documents.
Right. And
so it's not commentary.
No, it's not comment. We don't believe in commentary.
Yeah.
Unless, I shouldn't say that, unless it is written by, there's some books about George Washington that were written by the people who were with him at the time. So they were written right after his death by the people who witnessed it. So it's only eyewitness accounts.
Yeah.
It's not some egghead, 60 years later saying, I think this is what he meant. It's only those who were there at the time. Mm-hmm. And that's why we cut it off at 1826. That's the death of the last founder. And so, there's no more new, generation of documents. Mm-hmm. And so, when you can get it and you have, it's an amazing thing. You can ask it, what did they think about, let's say, freedom of speech? And it will put you in a room where 5 of them are actually having a conversation back and forth.
That is amazing.
It's incredible. It's incredible.
That's amazing.
I'm trying to design history in a way to where you can, no matter your learning skill or your learning style, we hit you there. Like, for instance, we're teaching the Bill of Rights right now, and I've written music to go with the Bill of Rights. So we have curriculum on the Bill of Rights on which each means, but it's all critical thinking stuff. It's not, it's catechism, the way we used to teach.
Yeah.
So
right.
you're not just saying memorize this stuff.
Right.
You're asking your kids, the First Amendment protects freedom of religion. How can you say that we don't want Islamism here in America? How can you possibly block that because of the First Amendment? And it gives you the argument back and forth, and it allows you to reason, at the right level for your kids, but it teaches them to reason things through.
Mm-hmm.
And
Something
then
sorely lacking right now.
right. And then, I learned a lot from Schoolhouse Rock.
Me too.
Right. So we've started writing new things, and we have 10 songs coming out this summer, all on the first 10 amendments of the Bill of Rights. And they're very, very catchy. The first one is called 5 in the First, and it's the 5 freedoms that are in the First Amendment. You say, tell me the 5 freedoms that are in the First Amendment. Most people, I don't know. And if you're lucky, they'll come up with freedom of the press, freedom of religion, freedom of speech. And they won't be able to tell you the other two. And this is the way to get kids to memorize it, is to give them a song that's very, very catchy, that they'll remember, that they want to sing, that they like, just like we did with Schoolhouse Rock.
Oh, we remember Conjunction Junction.
Absolutely. I'm just a bill on Capitol Hill. Yeah, absolutely.
It's so iconic.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's really true. And if you can get this stuff into the hands of the next generation, of the rising generation, as Thomas Jefferson would have referred to them, I think we got a shot at saving the country.
We do.
Yeah.
We do.
Yeah, I think so.
The other thing that we've done is, this is the last phase of my career. And I'm doing the things that I want to do. I don't care what it costs. I've made enough money and, everything else. I don't care what it costs. And so we've put together The American Story, and it is based on David Barton and Tim Barton's book, The American Story, and then rewritten by my staff. And these episodes, they'll take up to 70 hours to write, 20 hours to produce, and that's not including my time. So these episodes, one of them has over 400 tracks. And when you're listening and George Washington is in a battle, if you're listening with headphones, you hear, it's almost as if the bullets are whizzing by your head. It's unbelievable. And if that's the way I would have had history taught to me, I would have known I would have loved American history. And we're trying to make it free, put it out there, let everybody have it. It goes to our Torch subscribers first, because, they're helping pay for some of the cost on it.
Yeah.
But, then we put it out, wherever you get your podcast or whatever, and you can use it and spread it and give it to every possible person that has kids or access to kids.
Well, and it's your hope, too, I would think, that parents are doing this with their kids, because as a homeschool mom of 7, I can tell you right now, the teacher always learns more than the student. And something I learned, Glenn, when I was running for Congress, and this was shocking, it was so eye-opening to me. Most people in the country right now, they don't know what freedoms they have, which is why in COVID, they just allowed the government to take away their freedom.
Yeah.
They don't even realize what freedoms they have. They don't know the Constitution. They don't know the Bill of Rights. They don't know the founding of this country, because we haven't been teaching it now for generations.
I have to tell you, there's nothing more frustrating than seeing somebody who's out on the street and they're doing something, and a cop comes up and they're like, I have a right to be here. I've got a right. And the cop says, no, you don't. And you're like, okay, well, police officer is wrong. And then you hear the person say, I've got the right to whatever. And you're like, that's wrong too.
Right.
And they're both arguing about stuff that neither one of them is right. And it's like, I watch these things on social media. I'm like, oh my gosh, we're doomed.
We're done. We're done.
Doomed.
You must scratch your eyes out.
Right. I mean, there is no way to save a country if you don't know what you're saving.
No. We need to restore the story.
We do.
We need to restore the story, and there's no time to lose. And when I read about what you were doing, this Torch 250, I told you my husband was reading it to me, briefing me this morning as I was getting ready to come into the studio. And we were both just like, dude, the country needs this. And I don't think, Glenn, that we're alone. I think that most people, sane people, recognize that this country, most empires, nations don't survive 250 years. I mean, we've already outlived most of the rest of them.
The average age of do you know how long a constitution, the average age of a constitution is?
No, I mean, I know it's not as long as we've got one.
You're going to be amazed.
Tell me.
17 years.
Get out of town.
17.
Wow.
Look how many constitutions France has had since the French Revolution.
Yeah.
It's an extraordinary number. 17 years is the average length. We are way past that. There's a reason for that.
Yeah.
And the founders were so brilliant.
Brilliant, yeah.
They were not egomaniacs. Mm-hmm. They knew things would change. And they were like, okay, but this system is meant to change with you. Mm-hmm. You change it the right way. Mm-hmm. You use the amendment process. People don't understand how brilliant these guys were.
Mm-hmm. No, it's really amazing. And America is worth saving. America is worth saving, even for all the problems that we have in it. You know, people sometimes ask me, well, you just asked me, why do I still live in Washington State, right? Because, I mean, we're dying over here. We're dying from a broken education system, from a communist governor, from a communist attorney general. We've got problems coming out our ears. But you know what? I think Washington State's worth saving. I think Washington State is one of the most beautiful places on the face of the earth. And I will be danged if the left is going to drive me from my home. I would rather fight for it than give it up. And that's how I think we should all feel about America. It's worth fighting for.
But it's for half of the country, it's not anymore.
Yep.
But
Education.
That means there's 50%. You know, do you know how many people actually joined the American Revolution? How many people were passionate about the American Revolution? Were passionate about, I'm on their side, mm-hmm. and would stand up and really fight for it. I mean, really fight for it. We're dedicated.
Yeah.
You know what that number was?
What?
19%. 19. It doesn't take an awful lot of people.
That gives me so much hope.
Right.
It gives me so much hope.
Point. It is the tipping point. Yeah. All you need is 17 to 19%. But they have to be truly dedicated.
That's how the left is taken over, dude.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
Because those guys are dedicated.
They're dedicated. They're dedicated. We have to be truly dedicated. We have to know what we're talking about. We have to know what the system is that we're trying to preserve. We have to teach it to our children. Mm-hmm. We have to say, you know what? Nobody else is going to do it, so I'll do it. We cannot just phone it in and say, well, I've put my kids in the right school and I'm sure the teachers have a hold on, or, well, I don't know, everybody's telling me this is the best candidate. No, have you talked to the candidate?
Right,
have you listened to the candidate?
Yeah.
Have you asked him the question?
Yep.
What does the Constitution mean to you? Mm-hmm. Can you tell me about, just ask, pick a number. Mm-hmm. You tell me about the Seventh Amendment. Mm-hmm. Guarantee you they can't. Mm-hmm. If they can't, they should be nowhere near office. Mm-hmm. Nowhere near office.
Absolutely true. I was thinking, in the book of Luke, Jesus is talking to the Pharisees, and he's like, guys, when a student is fully trained, he'll be like his teacher. Yeah. And when I read that, I thought, I think the vast majority of parents, I'd say 90% of them at least, they don't know who their kid's teacher is. They don't know their political ideology. They don't know their sexual ideology. They don't know where they're coming from. And yet we are allowing our children to be taught by these people 9 hours a day, 9 months out of every year, with just 3 months off where they can catch their breath and go swim in a lake. And then we put them right back in that system and we wonder why we lose them. That's why. We don't know who's teaching our kids. We got to get off autopilot.
So I'm at our ranch in Idaho. And Idaho has a large Mormon population, and they are trying to raise money to save this old building, and it's called the Oneida Academy, I think. And there's only 30 of them left, and they were built in the 1800s. Yeah. And just see if you can figure out where I'm going with this. They had just, this was not part of America at the time, okay? This had not become part of America. They weren't states yet. They might have been territories, but not states. And so they came here and they were chased out. Some of the politicians were even chasing them out. The Governor Boggs, I think his name was, in Missouri, had an extermination order. It was actually legal to kill a Mormon on site. Yeah, believe it or not. It's crazy. It's the only extermination order in American history. And you had that right, because it was the slave state and they were anti-slavery, and it was the Missouri Compromise, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes.
So it all revolved around that. So they come here, and then the state starts to form, and they're like, you know what? Don't worry, we're going to make schools for your kids. And they were like, the heck you are.
Right.
And they built their own buildings and educated. That's what we need to start doing. Yeah. How do we expect to have a healthy, to be able to look at government, like George Washington said, government is fire. It's fire. You control it and it's fine. It controls you. It'll burn everything down. Yeah. We put our kids into these government institutions and expect the government to teach us what the government isn't allowed to do?
Yeah.
Not a chance.
Not a chance.
We need to start going back and saying, no, I don't want my kids in your schools. Yeah. I do not want you. It's impossible for you to teach the right relationship between the citizen and the government as the government.
Yeah.
You can't.
Yeah. No. And if you trace the government schools, I mean, you can go back to the 1700s, right? Orestes Brownson, Robert Owen, these guys, these Welsh utopians, they were socialists at heart. Their whole idea was to take over the government by taking kids away from their parents.
Yes.
It's been in our country for a really long time.
Oh, I know. Most people go to Dallas and they see the big round ball. It's Reunion Plaza.
Yeah.
They have no idea. And they see that, it's Reunion Plaza and it's a restaurant up there. Do you know what Reunion was? Reunion was the first socialist utopia in Texas. Okay.
Yep.
It ended exactly like all the other socialist utopias end.
Just like New Harmony, Indiana ended. Yeah. Same idea.
It's exactly the same.
Same idea.
It's been tried over and over and over again. Yet we don't learn that.
No, we don't. And these guys went on. These guys, Orestes Brownson, these guys in the 1700s, they went on to form the Department of Education. And people are like, oh, we can change it. I'm like, no, dude, you can't change it. It's baked into the cake. Like you have to get rid of it and just start over. Get your kids out of public school, for goodness sake.
It is the biggest disappointment that I have with Donald Trump.
Yeah.
He had the opportunity to end the Department of Ed, but he's just not there. He's just not there. He's going to, handcuff it a bit, but we need to end the Department of Education.
Do you think he can do it? I mean, I guess that's a question I have for him. What would he need to do it? I mean, he would need Congress, right? I mean, can you just end it?
What he has said to me is, I can end a lot of it. I can't end it all, but I can end a lot of it. Mm-hmm. I'd like to see him end a lot more of it.
Me too.
You know what I mean?
Because it's killing our country.
It is.
It's killing our country.
It is.
Tell me about this Torch 250 really quickly, because I want my audience to go there. I think they're gonna love what you're doing, because they can have access to it, right? Pretty quick.
Yes. So Torch 250, it'll give you access to all of this stuff this summer, before we release it to general. And it has lesson plans for each of the first 10 amendments. It will have, in 2 weeks, it will have full 20 hour-long episodes of the American story. And you've never heard history told like this. It is really, really good, all commercial free. We have songs for the 10 amendments. We also have a new book that is coming out in audio form. I released it about 3 years ago or so. It was during COVID. And it's a book called Chasing Embers. And it's a dystopian book that actually, I wrote it for teens. And I got the idea while reading Karl Marx. And I'm reading Karl Marx and I'm like, who believes any of this crap?
Right.
And how is this possible that this is this popular?
Every person at Reed College does.
Right. And you know what? The reason why it's popular, at least I think, is because it's forbidden fruit. It's not, and I thought, wow, I guess George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, and Ben Franklin, the Federalist Papers, they'll become the forbidden fruit, and they'll become popular, and kids will seek them out if they're forbidden. And that led me to this dystopian tale where a corporation has taken over America, and it's set in the not too distant future, but probably about 80 years in the future, 90 years in the future. America is erased. It's gone.
Yeah.
Its citizens have no idea what America is. And it is tightly controlled with AI and, surveillance. And it is the kids that are trying to piece things back together, and they find fragments of books that have been banned, and they're starting to put together a library and try to figure out what the truth is. And it's really a great adventure story, for teens.
That's
and
great.
that audiobook is coming out.
So the audiobook's coming up with the book Chasing Embers, right? It's already out?
Yes. No, it'll come out, I think this week on torch250.com. We release the first 2 chapters, and then the next week, I think the full book comes out.
Dude, I so appreciate your obvious love for the country. My heart just resonates so much with that. And my husband was telling me this morning that he was in a parade with you in 1976 in Mount Vernon, Washington. There's a picture of him in the paper. And
unbelievable.
Yeah, so the bicentennial, and here we are.
No, I wonder how much he and I have that our course of our life was set because of that time period.
Yes.
As we grew up at a time where in our town, we were trying to save our town, and we used the colonial period to try to, and it was the bicentennial, and it shaped my life. And it was so stupid. I didn't even really recognize that until later. But it shows the power of a story, a power of the family.
Yes.
And a sense of belonging to something, how important that is. It shaped me.
Yeah.
It shaped me.
Yeah. I think Jay, my husband, would say the same thing. My grandfather was a pastor, and he took me campaigning, for Ronald Reagan.
Wow.
So he taught me, he was like, you know what, Heidi, Christians belong in politics. Politics determines policy. Policy shapes the nation. So I grew up with this incredible love for my country and this belief that God's people need to engage in the political sphere instead of abandon it. And my husband grew up with a similar love for the country and his memories. I mean, he's only, I think, 3 years younger than you, Glenn. And so his memory of this little parade and everything, he's like, it was Glenn's job to make sure I didn't fall off the wagon. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is so funny. And he remembers at 6 years old, he remembers that.
Wow.
And it shaped him, and it shapes who we are. And I think if parents can just get it in their heads that your job is so important in shaping the next generation and passing on a love for this country. If we don't do it, nobody will.
Nobody will.
We've got to do it.
Yeah,
We've got to do it.
And I think most parents want to do it.
Yes.
But I think most
they don't
parents,
know how.
They don't know how. They're afraid to ask. They feel stupid. Look, I didn't know history. I mean, I hated history growing up. I hated it because it was all memorization of dates.
Just boring, rote memorization.
Yes, they did everything they could to destroy the story. Yeah. So now we have a way for you to connect to the story in ways that you like and you will learn from. I just had some people, I just got some reviews back from some of the stuff we're doing. They're like, had I learned it that way, I would have always been interested in the American story. Yeah. And that's how we have to teach our kids. And we can do it. It's not that hard.
We can do it. Yeah, we can do it. And I love that you pointed out, it really doesn't take that much of a percentage of us to engage, to learn history, to teach it to our kids. And you're giving people the tools to do it. And I have so much hope. If we didn't, then we'd just give up, right? I mean, but we have reason to hope.
I didn't have a lot of hope, in 2020.
Well,
honestly,
that was rough.
God is not uninvolved in this, and He's not done with our country. He might be done with us if we don't turn our ways, but He's not uninvolved, and He is working miracles all over the world, and we're going to see the hand of God in our lifetime. We're going to see Moses-style miracles. I really believe it.
I do too. And as I told you, I was sitting on my back deck last night with this group of 20-something kids, and they're interested. They're interested. They want to know the history of the country. They want to know how to get involved in politics. They care about the future, and they realize it's being stolen from them. And so what an opportunity. If people are interested in finding out about your curriculum, where do you want
Go
them to go?
to torch250.com, torch250.com. We are working on, like I said, AI in totally different ways. This is not ChatGPT or anything else. We're doing this from scratch. And so I have a lot of plans. This is our first push into education and into storytelling for homeschoolers. So I just hope you would give it a try at torch250.com.
Well, my audience is absolutely going to love this. We're super fans of wall builders over here and
Oh,
David Barton. So they're going to already
he
be very,
changed my
very
life.
familiar. Yeah.
Yeah, he changed
Incredible.
my life. Yeah,
Absolutely incredible.
yeah.
Glenn Beck, you're a
Thank
national
you.
treasure. Thanks for coming on
God
the
bless.
show.
Thank you, Heidi.
Well, that was exciting. I hope you guys enjoyed listening to that. Don't forget to check out Glenn's series. I think this is exactly what the country needs right now. I remember Schoolhouse Rocked. And if you're not old enough to remember Schoolhouse Rocked, you guys are missing out. Conjunction, junction, what's your function? Anyway, such great material that we got to grow up and listen to in the 70s. And Glenn is bringing it back. Listen, mom and dad, you have an opportunity to educate your children and educate yourself about the history of this country and why it is worth preserving, why it is worth fighting for, and why it is absolutely worth celebrating, which I hope you guys are all going to do on the 4th of July this year. I hope your 4th of July is absolutely epic. This time last year, I was getting ready for surgery. I had surgery on the 3rd of July. I spent the last 4th of July in the hospital. And so I'm more excited than I've ever been to be celebrating America, especially on the 250th anniversary of our country. I hope you guys are prepping for it right now. I hope you're looking up all the old Jell-O recipes, you know, the little red, white, and blue Jell-O recipes. Used to be, we could get on Pinterest, back before Pinterest was nothing but ads. You get on Pinterest, and I think I found this awesome soda recipe, and we'd layer it, and it became like a science experiment. But then you drink it, it was like red, white. Bonnie, do you remember this? Like red, white, and blue layers. It was amazing. Guys, have some fun. Celebrate our country. The Lord has been good to us. Give thanks to the Lord, for he is good, and his love really does endure forever. And we have been on the receiving end in this country of a very great mercy. God has been good to us. I hope you guys are making a major, major plan to celebrate this country with your family and your friends this 4th of July. I want to say thanks to today's sponsor. We've been sponsored by MyFreedomCart. You guys have been hearing me talk about it. It's basically just another way to shop. You can get household supplies there. You can get snacks. You can get protein powder. You can get creatine and colostrum, all kinds of great things at myfreedomcart.com. I came for the mascara, guys, and I got hooked and I stayed for the rest of it. Their supplements, everything, absolutely top notch. Check it out at myfreedomcart.com. I have been a customer there now for a year, and I'm more excited now about it than I've ever been. Mostly because I haven't tried anything there that I didn't absolutely love. I'm saving money, and I'm not spending money with a company that hates me. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Hey, and I appreciate you. I'd love to hear from you. You can reach out to me by emailing me info@heidistjohn.com, or you can come and submit your show ideas or your questions to have answered at Fan Mail Friday by going to heidistjohn.com/Fan Mail Friday. Listen, I hope this has been a great episode for you. I hope it's encouraged you. If it's encouraged you, please share it on social media. Help us get the word out about this show. And again, I would love to hear from you. And don't forget to visit our sponsor at myfreedomcart.com. Have a great day, you guys. I'll see you back here again at the intersection of faith and culture.